Act as if everything always works out for you. You may have heard the phrase, fake it till you make it, but pretending is not the same as making it happen. To pretend is to create an illusion. It doesn't really change anything. Pretending to have already achieved what you want is a completely different approach. It means taking control of your life with the attitude of someone who has already won. It's about making decisions with confidence, as if success is already guaranteed. Imagine if you knew for sure that everything would work out. How would you face the challenges? Would you walk with more confidence? Would you make decisions more clearly? Because anyone who realizes their dreams behaves exactly the same way. Anyone who believes that success is inevitable takes decisive action. Anyone who believes that the world is against them tends to paralyze themselves in the face of any obstacle. This video is about acting as if everything is already working out in your favor. When you act with this certainty, success is a natural consequence. Now let's get straight to the point. Here are 6 attitudes that can help you change your mindset and make everything work in your favor. Attitude 1. Take advantage of the domino effect in your life. Have you seen the domino effect? One part pushes the other, and the movement spreads effortlessly. Now imagine your life as a series of dominoes. Every decision you make can trigger a series of changes. It could be something good or something that causes regression. If you try to change everything at once, you won't be successful. It's like trying to push a row of dominoes that don't line up. The impulse disappears and the movement stops. The trick is to start with small actions with a clear and direct step. If you want to improve your health, you don't have to go to a gym and do long workouts every day. This will probably tire you out and make you give up. Start slowly and with something simple. A 10-minute walk after lunch, quick stretches before bed, or drinking more water throughout the day. These small changes may seem unimportant at first, but they begin to create movement. Your body will react. You will feel more energized and motivated to keep going. Soon, those 10 minutes of walking can turn into 30 minutes of exercise, and you'll feel stronger and more confident. The same applies to your finances. If you try to cut all of your expenses at once, you will feel overwhelmed and may give up. But if you start with something simple, like bringing your food from home to work or avoiding ordering food delivery on the weekend, you're already making a difference. These small savings give you more control over your money. You will feel less pressured, and when you see positive results, you will find it easier to continue saving and planning. This happens because the brain reacts to the first impulse. When you start taking action, your body and mind start working together. Small victories bring motivation, and that motivation leads to you taking more action. As Mark Twain said, "What matters is not the size of the action, but the simple fact that you started." The domino effect works because the first effort creates a feeling of progress. When you realize that you are evolving, you are proud of it. This pride gives you more confidence to keep trying, and this trust allows you to act more confidently and achieve even better results. It works everywhere in your life. If you want to improve your relationships, you don't have to try to change everything at once. Start with something simple, like sending a message to someone you miss, then arrange a coffee. So try to make space for a more meaningful conversation. This small gesture can create a positive domino effect in your relationships. The connection begins to grow, trust becomes stronger, and bonds become deeper. But here's the important point. The domino effect can work for both good and bad. If you allow small bad decisions to pile up, they can create a negative cycle. For example, if you choose to sleep later in the day, you will wake up tired. This fatigue causes you to miss training, and this increases anxiety. Anxiety can cause you to seek comfort from food or distractions. Soon you'll find yourself stuck in a cycle of lack of energy, discouragement, and frustration. But the power to change lies in your hands. When you change the first domino, with a small adjustment, the entire cycle also changes. To change your life, you don't need a grand gesture, just a small targeted movement. If you want to grow at work, start by dedicating 20 minutes a day to learning something new. If you want more emotional balance, take 5 minutes to breathe deeply and reorganize your thoughts. If you want to improve your financial situation, start by setting aside a small portion of your salary for savings. The domino effect is so powerful because it is natural. They do not force radical changes, but rather create positive impulses through small measures. The secret is repetition, not intensity. As Tony Robbins says, small actions every day create a force that cannot be stopped. You don't have to fix everything at once, just knock over the first domino. The rest will happen naturally. Today, choose an area of your life, health, work, finances, or relationships, and define one small, consistent action that you can repeat every day. Start with a small piece and see how it takes out all the others. Attitude 2. Your mind creates your life. The way you think determines how much you can achieve. When you believe you can learn and grow, challenges become part of the process. But when you believe you have a limit, any difficulty seems to be a reason to stop. The mind works like a radar. When you believe success is possible, your brain recognizes opportunities that reinforce that belief. But if you believe that nothing is working for you, your mind will find signs that confirm it, thus starting a cycle of failure. As Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or not, either way, you are right. Imagine two people receiving a negative comment at work. The first thinks, "I knew that wouldn't work." The second thinks, "That was hard to hear, but what can I improve?" What changes is not the fact itself, but the way each person interprets it. The first person sees the comment as proof that they are not good enough and gives up. The second sees this as an opportunity for improvement. The situation was the same, but the meaning each person gave it made all the difference. The same thing happens with success. The mind is always trying to confirm what you believe. If you believe that making money is difficult, you will end up ignoring opportunities, doubting your own ideas and sabotaging yourself. But when you believe you can be successful, you feel more confident taking risks, investing in yourself, and making decisions with confidence. The difference between those who move forward and those who stand still lies in their mentality. Anyone who believes they can improve sees mistakes as an opportunity to learn. Anyone who thinks that failure is inevitable stops at the first difficulty. Thomas Watson, founder of IBM, said, "If you want to be successful, you must double the number of mistakes you make." And he was right. The Stoics taught us to distinguish between what we can and cannot control. You can't control the outcome of an interview, but you can control how well you prepare for it. You can't control how others react to your decision, but you can control how much you trust your choice. Your mindset determines how you act. If you believe it is possible to improve your health, you will eat healthier and exercise more. If you believe you will never get out of debt, you will continue to spend money uncontrollably because you think there is no way. Stanford University psychologist Carol Dweck has called this the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. People with a fixed mindset believe that their abilities are limited and that failure is a reflection of their inability. People with a growth mindset believe they can improve through practice and effort and view mistakes as part of the journey. When you have a growth mindset, failure is not an end, but an adjustment in the right direction. Your mind works like a GPS. If you specify a wrong destination, you will go to the wrong place. But if you define the right goal, like success, confidence, achievement, your mind will guide you there. Now ask yourself, do I believe success is possible for me? Do I think I can improve? If the answer is no, you may be sabotaging yourself without even realizing it. If the answer is yes, you are already on the right track. As Buddha said, the mind is what you think you become. And if you want to live a different life, you must first think differently. Start now. Write down your beliefs and act with the confidence of someone who already knows they will win. What you believe, you create. And if you like the content, consider becoming a member of the channel. Not only do you help the channel, but you also have exclusive content. Click on the link in the description and become a member now. Back to content. Posture 3. Have a clear idea of your goal. If you want to achieve something, the first step is to have that goal clearly in mind. It's not enough to just imagine it. You must feel like you have already achieved it. Imagine an athlete before a big competition. He doesn't enter the arena without knowing what he's doing. He already imagined he would win. He has replayed the moment in his head several times as he crossed the finish line, heard the applause, and felt the taste of victory. When the real moment comes, Both your mind and your body already know what to do, because you have trained this scenario in your head so many times that it is already part of your reality. This is not a fantasy, it is a strategic technique. As Lewis Carroll said, if you don't know where you're going, any way will do. Science has already shown that the brain cannot distinguish what really happened and what you imagined clearly and full of emotion. When you visualize your goals in detail, the brain responds as if they were already real. This happens because of the reticular activating system, an internal filter that selects where you focus your attention. When you believe success is possible, this system begins to look for anything that confirms that belief. Have you ever noticed that when you think about buying a particular car, you see that car everywhere? This is no coincidence. It is the reticular activating system that works. The same applies to success. When you begin to visualize and believe that he is the one for you, your mind begins to notice opportunities that previously went unnoticed. The opportunities were always there. You were the one who couldn't see them because you were focused on something else. Now think about it. If you're looking for a new job, imagine the moment you get the call telling you you've been accepted. Feel the joy in your chest. Hear the voice of someone congratulating you, and the relief of knowing that all your efforts have been rewarded. If you want financial stability, imagine the moment when you can easily pay all your bills. Feel the peace of mind that you no longer have to worry about your bank balance. If you want more confidence, imagine walking into a room with a firm stance, confident eyes, and a confident voice. Feel the power that you radiate just by being there, without having to say anything. But here lies the challenge. When you try to visualize your success, your mind may try to sabotage the process with doubts and fears. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail again? What if it's not enough? This resistance can block the process. It's like trying to accelerate a car with the handbrake on. They even move, but with much more effort. For visualization to work, you need to align your thoughts with the feelings you want to evoke. When you say, "I am capable," but deep down you believe you can't, your brain notices this difference. Start with something simpler and easier to believe, such as, "I'm learning to win." Instead of saying, "I am strong," try, "I am getting stronger every day." Also take advantage of sensory details, as your brain responds better when it can clearly visualize and truly feel emotions. For example, instead of saying, "I want a new car," say, "I want a black car with leather seats, the smell of a new car, and a smooth steering wheel in my hands." Instead of saying, "I want to be successful," say, "I want to feel peace when I look at my positive balance and know that my work is paying off." Repeat this process every day. Close your eyes morning and evening and imagine in detail what you want. Feel the emotions that this success brings. Let this vision influence your daily attitudes and decisions. Top athletes, business people, and artists use this technique to prepare their minds for success. When you believe success is certain, your behavior changes. You begin to act more confidently. Your posture changes, your body language becomes firmer, and your decisions become more purposeful. Elon Musk, for example, didn't just imagine SpaceX's success. He acted as if it was inevitable, even when everyone said it was impossible. Olympic medal record holder Michael Phelps visualized every move he made in the water before each event, from the start to the final touch at the edge of the pool. When the real moment came, his body already knew exactly what to do because he had already won hundreds of times in his mind. Now do the same in your life. If you want a promotion, act like someone who has already been promoted. If you want a healthy relationship, behave like someone who knows they deserve respect and reciprocity. If you want financial stability, make decisions with the mindset of someone who is already financially stable. But remember, the idea of success does not mean that the path will be without difficulties. This means you are ready to take on challenges with the confidence of someone who already knows you will win. The Stoics teach us that you cannot control obstacles, but you can control how you respond to them. When you believe that everything is working out in your favor, challenges are no longer obstacles. They become mere adjustments to be made along the way. If you want to change your reality, the first step is to change the way you see it. Close your eyes. Imagine clearly and feel that success is already on the way, because it is. Act like it already worked, and it will soon. Attitude 4. Control your fears and insecurities. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will either. Lack of confidence shows up in the way you carry yourself, the way you talk, and even small behaviors, and the world notices. Insecurity is like a smell that people smell before you even say anything. When you are afraid, your gaze becomes uncertain, your voice trembles, and your gestures show hesitation. And people notice that even if you try to hide it. Imagine someone learning to drive a car. At first, every movement is tense. Your hands grip the steering wheel tightly, your foot hesitates when you step on the pedal, and even traffic signs seem scary. But with time and practice, the movements become more natural. Not because the person lost their fear, but because they kept trying, even though they felt unsafe. Trust doesn't come from theory alone. It is built with practice. Courage does not mean not feeling fear, but rather overcoming that fear. Nelson Mandela was right when he said that fear can paralyze you. It makes you doubt every decision, seek approval from others, and even give up before you try. The problem is that this cycle of doubt only reinforces your insecurity. The longer you wait until you feel ready to act, the more paralyzed you become. This happens because the brain is programmed to avoid risk. When you encounter something new, the most primitive part of your brain goes into survival mode. Your body releases substances like cortisol and adrenaline, your heart races, and your mind starts looking for a way out. It's the fight or flight instinct. This response was important for our ancestors, who needed to escape predators to survive. But today, the predators are things like a workplace presentation, a difficult conversation, or fear of rejection. The problem is that the brain cannot distinguish between these situations. He reacts as if his life is in danger. The important point now is that fear doesn't go away on its own. You can't wait to act with confidence. You must act even if you are afraid. Think about someone who is about to skydive for the first time. Your palms are sweaty, your heart is racing, and your mind is screaming to give up. But still the person flinches. And when your feet touch the ground, the fear disappears because your body and mind have learned that it is possible to face the experience and survive. Trust comes after action, not before. You will no longer be afraid of making a mistake when you make a mistake and realize that you have survived. You will lose the fear of rejection when you are rejected and understand that it will not destroy you. You will no longer be afraid of failure when you fail and realize that the world keeps turning. Confidence comes not from avoiding fear, but from learning to respond to it differently. The secret is not in eliminating fear, but in changing the way you deal with it. Stoic philosophers believed that fear was not real, but rather an idea that our minds create. Marco Aurelio wrote, "When something external causes you pain, the pain comes not from the situation itself, but from the way you interpret it. And you have the power to change that interpretation at any time. This means that it is not necessary to fight the fear, but simply to accept it and act anyway." There are three main reasons why uncertainty occurs. The first is the fear of making mistakes. In order to act, you don't need guarantees, just the courage to try. When you start taking action, you discover strengths within you that you never knew existed. For example, a good salesperson may be nervous inside but continues to confidently present their product even when their heart is racing. The second form is fear of rejection. Other people's opinions only have the power you want to give them. If someone rejects you, it doesn't mean that you aren't good enough, but rather that that person didn't see your worth at that moment. You cannot rely on the validation of others when trading. As Rumi said, your job is not to judge others, but to free yourself from the burden of their opinions. The final form of fear that many people face is the fear of not being enough. This feeling that you are not good enough is a lie that you have told yourself, often without realizing it, so many times that you end up believing it. But the truth is that no one has to be perfect to be accepted. No one has to have everything under control to be respected. In fact, the world values authenticity much more than perfection. People connect with a person's reality, with his failures and victories, with what is real. When you act confidently, even when you don't have everything under control, you become a magnetic person. Your energy is noticeable, and suddenly people come up to you and feel the power that you radiate, even if you don't yet have all the answers. But how can this fear actually be overcome in practice? Trust doesn't come before action, it comes after. You don't have to wait until you feel completely confident or have all the ideal conditions to trade. The first step is to take the first step even if you are afraid, even if your palms sweat, even if your voice fails, even if your heart beats faster. If you continue to wait until you have the courage to act, you will end up stuck in the same place and not making any progress. The secret is to reinterpret fear. Don't think of it as a sign of retreat, but as a sign of growth. When your heart is racing, it's not a sign to stop. It's your body warning you that you're leaving your comfort zone and moving towards something new. That is growth. When you feel this fear, take a deep breath and say to yourself, "This is just my body getting ready for something new. I'm ready." Remember that the body and mind are deeply connected. When you act confident, your brain starts to believe it, even if you're still unsure inside. He begins to understand that you behave like a person who trusts himself, and over time, trust becomes natural. Repeating this action creates a virtuous cycle. The more you take action, the more confident you become. And finally, stop waiting for the right time. The right time will never come. He's just an illusion. If you keep waiting, you'll end up in a vicious cycle of procrastination. The truth is that now is the right time. Act first, then adapt. You don't have to be perfect to start, and in fact, perfection never comes before experience. You just need the courage to take the first step. Because self-confidence isn't something you have or don't have. It's the result of every little action you had the courage to do. Confidence builds little by little, until the moment you look back and realize how much you've grown by simply taking action despite the fear. Fear will never completely go away, but you will learn to use it to your advantage as a sign that you are on the right path. So don't wait for perfection or the ideal moment, but know that true confidence comes when you just start. The only requirement to get started is the courage to take the first step, and the reward soon comes in the form of self-confidence that grows with every action. But there is something important to understand. If you have been trying to get out of your comfort zone and learn more for a long time, but you still haven't succeeded, there may be something you are not aware of. I know what it could be. It's fear. Fear is like a snake that comes silently and affects you without you noticing. It makes you feel bad for days, months, and even years. Living like that is like being sick all the time. But I know a solution. Stoic philosophers and modern psychology have a way of eliminating this. I myself managed to heal myself from this fear. I made a video explaining how to get rid of this evil, and it is in the first comment. Click the link in the first comment and start healing that feeling of anxiety. Posture 5. Live as if it is already reality. If your goal is to have a stronger body, increase your self-confidence, or achieve financial stability, why should you expect it to suddenly happen like magic? Now start acting as if it's already happening. Think about it carefully. You believe that if you lose those 10 pounds, you will feel more confident. But what if that confidence depends not only on the weight you've lost, but also on the way you behave now? You don't have to wait for results to feel confident. You can start acting confidently now. If you think achieving financial stability will make you feel better, then why not start making financial decisions with calm and confidence right now? Start acting like someone who already knows the money is coming in, even if your bank account doesn't show it yet. The point is, it's not an illusion to act as if you've already achieved what you want. It's simply a change in the way you present yourself. When you act confidently, your body and mind begin to respond to this internal command. Imagine someone entering a room with a firm stance, clear speech, and a determined look. This person conveys security even without saying a word. Her confidence comes not from having everything figured out, but from how she positions herself, how she behaves like someone who already knows that she will achieve what she wants, even if she's still at it. The Stoics believe that it is not the events that truly define our reality, but the way we respond to them. If you think that success is something difficult and unlikely, your mind will look for reasons that confirm this. Every difficulty will feel like a sign that you are doomed. But if you believe success is inevitable, your mind will look for ways to make it a reality. As Jim Rohn said, success is not something you chase, but something you attract by becoming the person who is ready to embrace it. A good example of this is Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He practiced his shots and imagined he was in a crucial NBA game. He trained with all intensity because he believed success was inevitable. When the real moment came, his body and mind already knew what to do because he had already behaved as if this success was his. Another example is an airline pilot. If the weather changes during the flight, he doesn't panic. It just adjusts the route. A pilot doesn't need to be confident that the weather will improve, but he or she needs to be confident that he can adapt and move forward. This is how you must act in the face of difficulty. If a plan doesn't work, you don't give up. You adjust course and continue moving forward. Now think about your own life. How would you act if you were sure you would succeed? How would you speak in a work meeting if you were sure you had control of the situation? How would you handle rejection if you knew there was an even better opportunity waiting for you? Changing your posture has a direct impact on your behavior and feelings. Your body language will change. Your voice will become more confident. People will respond to you differently, and new opportunities may even arise. Not because the world around you has changed, but because you have changed. But why is this happening? Because when you act confidently, you send a clear signal to your brain that you are ready for what you want to achieve. You are no longer in a state of lack or scarcity, but in a state of possibility. And the brain responds in two ways. First, it begins to notice opportunities that you hadn't seen before, and second, it adapts its behavior to this new confidence. Try it for a week. Before an important meeting, adjust your posture, lift your chin, take deep breaths, and speak more clearly without rushing. Or when faced with a problem, ask yourself, what would someone who has already been successful in this situation do? Remember to tell yourself every day, everything is going in my favor. What you believe has a big impact on how you act. If you believe success is coming your way, act with confidence. On the other hand, if you believe that failure is inevitable, you will end up procrastinating. As Musonio Rufo, one of the great Stoic masters, said, "It is through behavior that we know true wisdom." Now take a deep breath and ask yourself, if I knew that success was already assured, what would I do today? The answer to this question is the path you should follow. Before I continue, I would like to ask you to share this video with anyone who you think needs to learn this too. And before you forget, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Posture 6. Everything you seek is already within you. We often spend our lives waiting for the right moment, the perfect sign, the opportunity that seems ideal. But the truth is that the strength, confidence, and clarity you seek already exists within you. You don't have to ask permission or wait for everything to be perfect before taking action. What you really need is to take the first step. No matter how small the initial action, the most important thing is to get started, because movement is what unlocks the potential that is already within you. How often have you stood still and waited for the perfect moment to act? Do you think you need more resources, more time, more support, or even more knowledge? The truth, which is often difficult to accept, is that it is not these external things that are missing, but the courage to take the first step. Imagine a person standing in front of a locked door. She can knock, wait, look around, but the key to open that door was always in her pocket. The problem is not a lack of resources. It is the belief that you are not yet ready to act. Goethe said, "Believe in yourself and everything is possible." That's the crux of the matter. The key lies in the way you react. When something goes wrong, the right question to ask is, what can I do with what I have now to fix the problem, rather than thinking, I can't handle this. This simple adjustment to your mindset can change your reality. You stop being hostage to circumstances and start acting with the confidence of someone who knows they have everything they need to handle any situation. You've won before, and you can win again. Remember the times when you faced seemingly impossible challenges, when things didn't add up, when you thought everything was lost, when no one believed in you but you found a way out. These victories were no accident. They are proof that you already have everything you need within you to overcome any obstacle. Abraham Lincoln said, "What you think causes a vibration within you." If you believe that you already have everything you need, start acting like someone who has already won. Your decisions will become more assertive, your stance will be firmer, and your communication will be clearer. People begin to respect your confidence because you exude an energy of certainty. Have you ever noticed that someone enters a room and dominates the room without saying a word? This person does not have more power or knowledge than others, but he or she acts with confidence. The confidence you convey comes not from your knowledge, but from your choice to believe that you can handle any situation that arises. You already have the intelligence, strength, and clarity necessary to overcome any challenge. You don't need another course, another piece of advice, or another opportunity to get started. What you really need is to believe in it. If you feel unsure or suspicious in the next 7 days, take a deep breath and say to yourself, "I already have everything I need to get through this." And then act, even without certainty, even without guarantees. Instead of getting stuck, do what you can with the resources you already have. By the end of this week, you'll realize something fundamental. Confidence doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from trusting yourself to find them. As Marcus Aurelius said, "It takes very little to live a happy life. It's all in you, in the way you think." What you need to change your life is already within you, waiting to be accessed. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Act now. And your first vote of confidence? Leave in the comments which of the 6 postures you will adopt starting today. Commit to your change and watch how your life can transform. The potential gain is immense, and you are ready to take the first step. And finally, I want to thank you for joining me on this journey of wisdom and transformation. Together, we will discover that everything you need is already within you. It's time to unlock that potential and live the life you deserve.